Brian Windhorst with me live from the NBA Finals, which it just feels, I know it's not exactly the same arena, but it feels like this is where it belongs, right, Windy? Doesn't it things feel back to normal a little bit?
I can't tell you how happy I am to be in this weather. It is so wonderful. It's such a great time to be here. I'm so happy to be back at the finals. It's going to be great, Max.
Yeah, because of Steph and Dre and Klay and Steve Kerr and everyone, it feels like this time of year we're all supposed to be in the Bay Area, right? Which team benefits most, do you think, from the time off leading to these finals?
Yeah, I know that the simple answer would be the Warriors because they got more of it and they had some injured guys. Gary Payton was a participant in practice yesterday. Otto Porter's back from the foot. He's hoping to play tomorrow. Even Andre Iguodala, who we haven't seen in weeks, is an option to return. But I actually think the Celtics really benefited from getting these 3 full days off. Had they had to play yesterday in their normal rotation of game day off, I'm not sure Robert Williams would have been able to suit up. He was really hurting at the end of the conference finals. Him getting the extra day and the extra sort of day and a half to prepare that knee for the opener of the finals is big. And also Marcus Smart. I know he was able to play, but he said at the conclusion of the series against the Heat that his entire right leg was bothering him. So I actually think the Celtics, even though they got less time, are very, very happy that they got these 3 days, in to prepare for tomorrow's game 1.
Celtics vaunted defense going against the Warriors. You better have Marcus Smart and Robert Williams as good as they can possibly be. The Celtics are 7-2 on the road in these playoffs, Wendy. Do you think that has predictive value for this series?
Yeah, so one thing I would say is if I was having to guess, I would guess that this series is going to be 1-1 when we head back to Boston. The Celtics have lost game 1 of the last 2 series. They have been down both times. And they have not lost 2 games in a row since January. And if you consider how well they've done in the playoffs on the road, as you mentioned, 7 wins, 2 losses. I'm not sure you're going to see the Celtics' best foot forward in game 1, but it would not surprise me at all if they're able to figure out, despite the rest disadvantage, how to get a game and get a split as they take this thing with home court advantage back to Boston.
NBA greats Amari Stoudemire and Vince Carter joining us now. Amari, how important is it for the road team, as Wendy just mentioned, to split those first 2 games?
Well, the key of the playoffs is if you can get a win on the road, you kind of shift the home court advantage situation, right? So if the Celtics are able to get a win, on the road, then they now have home court advantage, which is very important to have because you want to play at home. The more games you play at home, the better off you are. You sleep in your own bed, you're around your own family. It becomes much easier for you, and you want to try to make your situation as easy as possible when you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I always thought to open the series, the pressure is on the home team because you don't want to give up home court advantage. You're supposed to win those games. Vince, the Smart-Curry matchup, and Wendy referred to it, has been a topic of discussion. But why do you feel that's something that we actually won't see as much as advertised?
Well, I think we won't see it as much as advertised because of how the Golden State Warriors play. There's a lot of body movement, a lot of pick and roll. And if Marcus Smart is getting the best of Steph Curry, in my opinion, well, they're going to make adjustments. And what would be the adjustment? Get to the pick and roll to get another defender. Yes, Robert Williams, Al Horford, Tatum, Brown, great defenders. But I'd rather have those guys on them than Marcus Smart. So look for them to seek out the mismatch if there is a mismatch, and vice versa with Tatum. If Draymond is guarding them or Wiggins is having their way, they're going to find and seek out mismatches. And that's just the chess piece. That's how you play chess. And that's what you're going to see game after game, quarter after quarter, adjustments like those in this series.
Number 1 and 2 ranked defenses in the NBA. Amari, speaking of matchups, Vince just brought it up. What's a matchup you're looking forward to in this series?
I'm looking forward to the Tatum and Draymond Green matchup. Now, the Warriors may try to rest Draymond Green and not have him guard the best player, but the thing is, if you're saying you're one of the best players in the NBA and you want to make your name known for a defensive player, then guard the best offensive player. Let's see you now guard Jayson Tatum, mano a mano. I want to see the matchup here. Like most top players, right, you want to guard the best player. So when I was playing, I guarded Kevin Garnett. I had to guard Tim Duncan, these guys. It was a heavy lift.
Yeah,
I had
good luck with that. Yeah.
Right, but I had to take on the challenge. So I want to see Draymond Green take on the challenge of guarding Jayson Tatum.
I mean, Draymond seems to be up for taking on any. He does it even when it doesn't show up in the box score. You look, you go, man, he did everything.
Yep.
Although in the finals, let's not forget, in 2016, he was about to be Finals MVP had it not been for LeBron. He shows up this time of year. Wendy, Why have the Celtics been so good on the road in these playoffs, do you think?
Well, first off, you guys mentioned how good they defend. They really are able to rely on their defense. And, you talk about one of the things that we've seen with the Warriors, they put the opposing teams in a blender. They come down, everybody moves in different directions, they create the matchups that they want, and then they attack from there. The Celtics are the #1 team in the league at switching. No team switches pick and rolls more aggressively than Boston does. They have basically the best designed team that could have to play the Warriors. Doesn't mean it'll work because they still can find the matchups and the Warriors are still so good offensively. But because of that defensive reliance, they are able to stick into games on the road. You see the Warriors over the years, especially in this postseason, overwhelm opponents with giant runs. The Celtics, because of their defense, are able to put stops together. I would look for that to be a major part of how they approach Game 1 and Game 2. Stay attached and give themselves an opportunity to win the game in the end.
Vince, is that how the Celtics defense can cause the Warriors problems, by switching everything? How do they cause the Warriors problems?
Yeah, Wendy is right. And one thing they predicate themselves on defensively is making another opponent playing crowds. They want it to look clogged. And when you look at that paint and your offensive player, you have a defender on, you just look, you see arms, bodies, you just don't have a driving avenue. If the Celtics don't turn the ball over, they're able to play in their half-court defense. Yeah, that plays into their hands. It's when they turn the ball over and allow the Golden State Warriors to get out and transition and start shooting threes and body movement, trying to find and pick up bodies. But when you can get them to play in the crowd, that plays to the Celtics into the Celtics' hands defensively.
Thank you, gentlemen. Much more NBA Finals.
Finals tomorrow night in San Francisco. Celtics and Warriors. Defense isn't sexy, but it's abundant in this matchup. The Celtics ranked first in defensive efficiency. The Warriors ranked second. It's the first finals between the top two teams in that metric since 1996. The Warriors enter with far more experience on the finals stage. Golden State has 123 games of finals experience. The Celtics have 0. This is the third finals all time in which one team had 100 games of experience while the other team had none. But Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have led the way for Boston, making the Celtics the fourth team in the last 40 years to make the finals with their top two scorers 25 or younger. The previous three duos lost their finals matchup. All right, let's bring in our man Vince Carter to talk about this. Vince, and I know there's been a lot of fascination with some of the one-on-one matchups we might see, Curry versus Smart, Tatum versus Wiggins. Fans may be a little disappointed to see how seldom that actually plays out. Why is that?
Because, it's all about taking advantage of advantages and mismatches. And we saw in the last series with Jimmy Butler seeking out mismatches, or vice versa, Tatum seeking out Strus or whatnot, or the Golden State Warriors trying to get Luka in mismatches to drive him one-on-one. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. You see here, Luka did not want the initial matchup of Wiggins. He was trying to get Curry. You see here, Jimmy Butler trying to get to the pick and roll to get Tatum or Smart off of him to get a lesser defender, if you would. And that's what I think we're going to see a lot of that, where, yes, if Marcus Smart is getting the best of Steph Curry, you're going to see pick and rolls. You're going to see off-ball movement to pick and roll to try to get a different defender and not the defensive player of the year on him, and vice versa. If Wiggins or Draymond are playing great defense on Tatum or Brown, look for pick and rolls to get a lesser defender on them so they can get in a groove and get going to win in Game 1.
Yeah, you basically get to choose your defender, have that man screen, and then you go. 2 all-defensive team players on the floor. Marcus Smart, NBA Defensive Player of the Year, and Draymond Green, a perennial all-defensive guy. But their offense may be critical as well. Tell us about that, starting with Draymond, Vince.
Yeah, David, I think that's entirely important and something that we need to talk about. Defensively, we understand what they're going to bring to the table, but I think they're important pieces to their team offensively because of the eyes that Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry demand. So when Draymond's getting that rebound, getting out in the break, starting the offense, or Draymond getting the ball, taking it coast-to-coast layup, or in the pick and roll or down screens, Draymond's ability to slip to the basket and score and get to the free throw line. So I think that's a huge important, because defense is going to say, hey, we're going to take their stars away. We're going to make Draymond score. And on the other side, just Marcus Smart's ability to score as well and shoot the three. Getting mismatches. He's such a strong starting point guard where he can take little guys off the dribble, get into the paint. So look for him to post up a little bit if he gets the matchup of Poole or maybe a Steph Curry. Look for him to post up or just get into the paint to take some stress off of Jaylen Brown and Tatum on the scoring side, as well as what they do off defensively as well.
Those who watched the end of the Celtics Game 7 win when Smart was taking and missing a ton of shots late may not want to hear that, but you got to make Steph work on both ends. You got to bang him throughout the series. Vince doing some more, getting us ready for the NBA Finals Game 1 tomorrow night.